Truth or Dare, a game we've all played, yet its outcomes are never the same. Dive into red-faced confessions, 6 spicy truth or dare stories. Volume 3, where a simple game leads to unexpected revelations. From the hilarious to the heartwarming, the innocent to the provocative. These 6 embarrassing tales are bound to keep you listening and glued to your screen. Curious about nuns, charity boxes, or just some good old awkward teenage memories? This video has it all. But remember, in the game of truth or dare, expect the unexpected.
I exposed myself to the pizza delivery guy in a game of truth or dare. Okay, so picture this. It's the summer after college graduation. We're in a secluded vacation home and there's wine. Lots of wine. Naturally, a game of truth or dare ensues. Dares start off innocent, but soon escalate. And before I know it, I'm at the door, wrapped in just a towel, greeting our pizza delivery guy. Yep, you guessed it. An accident happens. Ever have one of those moments where you wish the ground would swallow you whole? This was mine. It was the summer after I graduated college. My close friend Clara had rented a quaint vacation home in a remote town for a quick getaway, and I'd joined her, along with a couple of our mutual friends, to celebrate the end of an era and the start of our adult lives. As the evening wore on and the wine flowed, we decided to entertain ourselves with a game of truth or dare. The dares started off harmless, like singing a random song or imitating a celebrity. But as it often does with friends who know each other's boundaries, the dares grew progressively bolder. When my turn came, Clara, mischief dancing in her eyes, dared me. When our dinner delivery arrives, you've got to answer the door wrapped in just a towel, as if you'd just stepped out of the shower. And as you're paying, you have to drop the money accidentally and see his reaction. While this was far from my hometown, and the likelihood of running into someone I knew was slim, the dare still had my heart racing. But with my newfound post-grad confidence and the supportive giggles of my friends, I accepted the challenge. As we awaited our meal's arrival, I stepped into the shower to give authenticity to the dare. Wrapping a towel snugly around myself, the group and I impatiently waited for the knock on the door. Every passing minute heightened our anticipation, and we were a bundle of nerves and excitement. The knock finally came. Clara and the others discreetly positioned themselves to witness the spectacle without being seen. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door, greeting the delivery man with an innocent, "Oh, hi." He was a young man, probably around my age, with a clear look of surprise. "It's $1.25, he managed, his eyes darting around nervously. Attempting to hand him the money, I let a bill accidentally slip from my fingers. As I bent to retrieve it, the towel followed suit, leaving me momentarily exposed. His eyes widened, and I could almost hear his heart racing from where I stood. Quickly wrapping myself again, I tried to defuse the situation. "Oh, how clumsy of me," I remarked with feigned nonchalance. His cheeks flushed. He stuttered, "It's, okay." He handed over the food, still processing what had just happened. Trying to make conversation and ease his embarrassment, I asked, "Busy night for deliveries?" Not really," he replied, clearly distracted by the unexpected turn of his routine. Feeling a bit guilty about the prank, I confessed, "I should probably tell you this was a dare. My friends and I, well, we got a bit carried away with a game." His face broke into a relieved grin. That makes more sense. For a moment, I thought I'd walked into some alternate reality. Laughing, I responded, "Well, thanks for being a good sport. And, sorry for the unexpected show." He chuckled. "No harm done. It certainly made my night more memorable." After bidding him farewell, I closed the door, my friends bursting into laughter and applause at the successful execution of the dare. The evening became one of our most cherished memories, marking the transition from our carefree college days to the world of adulthood, where unexpected moments can lead to the most unforgettable stories.
Red-Faced Confessions, 6 Spicy Truth or Dare Stories, Volume 3. Stay tuned for the next embarrassing confession.
Truth or dare? An awkward teenager and the prettiest girl in the room. Ever dared to bare your heart in a crowded room? Picture this, a bustling university cafeteria, the pull of a dare, and me approaching the most radiant girl you've ever seen. Everyone's watching. My heart's racing. I'm about to say something that'll either make me legendary or the biggest fool. You won't believe what came out of my mouth. In the vast world of university life, the bustling student cafeteria became an arena of its own, an unassuming battleground where friendships were forged, where lunch trays became tools of social artistry, and where, on one fateful afternoon, a game of truth or dare escalated into an unforgettable escapade. Every university has its cliques, and ours was no different. That day, as the sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the rows of benches and the students seated at them, my friends and I gathered in our usual corner spot. Amidst the clatter of cutlery and the hum of countless conversations, someone, probably James, that rascal, brought out the old game, Truth or Dare, a university classic. The bottle spun in a dizzying dance, stopping and pointing its accusatory neck directly at me, Sebastian. Without hesitation, I chose Dare. A wave of laughter and then hushed whispers filled the air around our table. What could they possibly think of for me, the known drama club enthusiast? With a mischievous grin, James laid out my dare. Sebastian, see that girl over there all the way at the back engrossed in her book? Your dare is to walk over and declare your undying love for her. The challenge hung in the air, and I paused for a second, summoning all the courage and theatrical flair I'd learned over the years. I thought if I can perform Shakespeare in front of a packed auditorium, surely I can handle this. And so, I began my slow march to the unknown maiden's table. As I approached, heart racing, she remained oblivious, lost in her novel. "Excuse me," I began hesitantly, but trying to remember my stage training. She looked up, her brown eyes widening in surprise. "Yes?" With a deep breath, I forged ahead. "I've been sitting over there and I couldn't help but notice you. I felt compelled to tell you something." A small smile played on her lips. "Go on." Oh, the melodrama of the moment got the better of me. Dropping down on one knee, I began, "From the moment I saw you, I've been enchanted. I truly, deeply love you, sis." The cafeteria echoed with a collective gasp, followed by the sound of my friend's uproarious laughter. Had I really just referred to this beautiful stranger as sis? Then there was this tense moment that seemed to last for ages, when you could see that she was trying to decide whether she was pissed off or amused. Then finally, with a glint of amusement, she burst out laughing. "Were you trying to serenade me just now?" Embarrassed beyond belief, I confessed about the dare, but instead of letting me slink back to my table in humiliation, she stood up, looped her arm in mine, and walked me back to my friends. The entire cafeteria watched in rapt attention as she recounted my flubbed proposal. Before leaving, she leaned in, her voice dripping with playful sarcasm. "For the record, I love you too, little bro." And thus, amidst the sea of students in the cacophony of a cafeteria, a blunder became a legend, a story to be told and retold of the day when words failed, but humor prevailed.
Red-Faced Confessions, 6 Spicy Truth or Dare Stories, Volume 3. Stay tuned for the next embarrassing confession.
Truth or dare? I never knew nuns did that. Ever walked into a risque shop on a dare, face red as a beetroot, with the weight of embarrassment dragging your steps? There I was, on a Manchester-bound train, armed with a challenge I couldn't refuse. As the saying goes, what happens in the adult shop stays in the adult shop. But trust me, you won't guess how this tale of a stag night, a bizarre dare, and an interesting video ends. A hum of anticipation filled the Manchester-bound train. This was the day. The big trip leading up to my mate's epic stag night. My pals and I crammed into the corner of the carriage, 6 packs of Carlsberg already on the go. It promised to be both fun and smooth sailing, or so we thought, until the intercom buzzed to life. "Ladies and gentlemen," began the weary voice of the conductor, "due to unforeseen track maintenance up ahead, we'll be making an unscheduled stop for approximately 2 hours. We apologize for the inconvenience." Groans echoed throughout the carriage. A 2-hour delay was the last thing any of us wanted. But the lads, ever the opportunists, saw it differently. Liam's eyes sparkled with mischief as he said, "Well, boys, it seems fate's given us an extra couple of fucking hours. Fancy a game of truth or dare?" With a few tins of Carlsberg inside us, this seemed like a brilliant idea. In a confined train carriage full of strangers, what could possibly go wrong? The dares began idiotically enough, serenading unsuspecting passengers, swiping hats from strangers, and even a shoe swap. But the ante quickly upped, as did my anxiety. The bottle, having spun in what felt like slow motion, pointed accusingly at me. The cheeky grins on my friends' faces said it all. They'd been planning and waiting for this moment. Liam, the ringmaster of this circus, pronounced, "All right, Jack, since we've got a bit of a layover, here's your dare. Pop out to the nearest adult shop in town and get us the most embarrassing adult film you can find. Off you go." I blinked in disbelief. A race against the clock, public embarrassment, and the potential of being left behind if the train miraculously decided to depart early. This dare had it all. A quick check on our map confirmed the location as looking like about 15 minutes away. As I darted off the train and onto the platform, I followed the map until I reached a shop with a provocative, lurid display that left no doubt about the nature of the store. I was barely 18 years of age, and like most people in those days before the internet, I had never even seen a picture of a naked person in my life. Taking a deep breath, I ventured inside, blushing furiously. The shopkeeper, after checking my ID for age and looking rather amused, pointed to a section. A quick grab, a quicker payment, and I was out. As I made my way back to the train, I felt the weight of curious eyes on me. The video, barely concealed in a thin plastic bag, seemed to glow with neon intensity. Back in our compartment, the lads erupted into laughter as I revealed my purchase, a film with an absurd title and an even more ludicrous cover. As the train slowly came back to life, ready to resume its journey, Liam nudged me and chuckled, "I knew you wouldn't chicken out." I know the story won't be complete without revealing the actual name of the video. Well, I am sorry to tell you the story won't be complete. I am still to this day too embarrassed to share the actual title, nor do I know what actually happened to the video. All I know is that it was there in our shared hotel room when we checked in, but when we checked out it was gone. I guess one of the lads really liked nuns.
Red-Faced Confessions, 6 Spicy Truth or Dare Stories, Volume 3. Stay tuned for the next embarrassing confession.
Truth or dare? Is it ever okay to steal from a fundraiser box? Imagine confronting a past betrayal over a game of truth or dare, the air thick with unsaid confessions and the ghost of a teenage crush. Packed in an apartment with old college pals, the laughs stopped when I faced Gary, the guy who once stole charity money in high school. But as the city lights blinked below, truths tumbled out, and old wounds began to heal. Dive into a tale where the past collides with the present, and a simple game turns into an unexpected journey of forgiveness and revelations. So there we were, packed into Lara's apartment. It was one of those evenings where everyone's laughing, the drinks are flowing, and the air is filled with nostalgia. College buddies catching up after years. Time had flown, but tonight, it was as if we'd rewound the clock. Amidst the banter, someone brought up the idea of playing truth or dare. I mean, seriously? We're in our late 20s, early 30s, and we're going to play a game from our teen years? But that's just it. The night was about reliving the past, right? As we went around the circle, there were the usual dares, funny dances, prank calls, even a mock proposal between two of the guys. Everyone was in stitches. But when the bottle pointed at me, I thought, why not? And I chose truth. Tom, like some sort of vindictive troublemaker, posed the question, have you ever reported someone for doing something wrong? Suddenly, the room felt smaller. Lara's cat, Donald, sensing the tension, dashed under the sofa. There was a pause before I spoke. Back in high school, someone took money from a fundraiser and I reported it. As I said this, I couldn't help but look at Gary. Gary, ever the class clown, said with a forced chuckle, "Yeah, that was me," Jake reported me. You could have cut the tension with a knife. Lara, trying to lighten the mood, poured everyone another drink, but nobody reached for their glasses. I sighed. Look, back then it wasn't just about the money. Gary, we had been close, and honestly, I kind of had this thing for you. Watching you do that just crushed me. He blinked, genuinely taken aback. Wait, you had feelings for me? Jake, seriously? The words spilled out of me. Yeah, and it's partly why it hurt so bad. It felt like you betrayed everyone, but to me it was personal. But I have to ask, why did you do it? Gary looked at his shoes, rubbing his neck uncomfortably. I was dealing with a lot at home. Bills piling up, my mom losing her job. I was also wrestling with my own feelings, and yeah, about you. I stared at him, thinking there is no statute of limitations on stealing charity money and no excuse that can make it right. This was so much to take in. I was lost for words. Tom, sensing we needed a break, jokingly said, "Well, this took a turn. Let's have a 5-minute snack break." Everyone laughed, the mood lifting slightly. As folks munched on chips and dip, Gary and I stepped onto the balcony. The cool air was a reprieve from the heat of the room. We stood in silence for a while, looking out at the city lights. Gary broke the silence. You know, back then I was so mixed up. The money was for my family, but what I did was wrong. And about us, I had no idea then that you were gay, and that would have been weird, so it's probably just as well that you didn't say anything. I turned to him. Yeah, but we were kids. Things were complicated. Now we're adults, and we can talk about it. Gary smiled. Better late than never, right? We chatted for a while, reminiscing, catching up, and clearing the air. When we re-entered the living room, the atmosphere was lighter. The game continued with a few more rounds, each more hilarious than the last. But that night for me wasn't about the game. It was a reminder of the weight of unsaid words and hidden feelings. And maybe, just maybe, it opened a door for Gary and me, one I thought had closed a long time ago. Who would have thought a game of truth or dare could be so revealing?
Red-Faced Confessions, 6 Spicy Truth or Dare Stories, Volume 3. Stay tuned for the next embarrassing confession.
Truth or Dare, My Browsing History, How to Pleasure a Man in Bed. Ever delved deep into the quirky, cringe-worthy depths of your search history? One wild evening, a simple game of truth or dare left me bearing my digital soul, from innocent health searches to rookie attempts at flirting. But the climax, discovering how to spice things up in the bedroom, dive into a tale of embarrassing confessions, unrequited crushes, and unexpected revelations, reminding us all of the cheeky surprises our browsers hold. You know, we all think we're adults until we're faced with the haunting spiral of a game of truth or dare. The last time I played that game, let's just say, I thought my face could never turn that shade of red. So I'm out with my friends, and after a few too many drinks, someone shouts, "Let's play truth or dare." I'm thinking, I'm an adult. What's the worst that can happen? So we're going round, and some dares are silly. Some truths are funny, but then it's my turn, and instead of playing it safe with truth, I think, I'm brave. Dare me. That's when Jess, with that sneaky grin of hers, says, "All right then, show us the last month of your search history on your phone." My heart just dropped. I mean, search history? That's like the window to your most private thoughts. But hey, I've nothing to hide, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. As I open my browser, even before I can check what's there, I remember a few nights ago when I had this itch on my back. And you know when you think you have a weird health symptom, and the next thing you know, you're down a rabbit hole on WebMD, convinced you have some rare tropical disease? Yep, that was my first search. Itchy back causes. But the embarrassment was just beginning. Right under that search, how to subtly flirt with a co-worker. Oh yeah, there's this guy Ethan at work. Gorgeous, smart, but I'm absolutely hopeless with this stuff. So of course I turned to the internet, and not just once or twice. The next search, signs your co-worker likes you back. Jess the traitor decides to read these out loud, each one. "Ooh," she coos. "Who's the co-worker?" And then, "How to tell if he's into you through texts" pops up. I can feel my cheeks burning, I can't even look up. But it's like a train wreck, you can't look away, right? Just when I think I'm done being the evening's entertainment, we get to the pièce de résistance of my recent searches. How to pleasure a man in bed. Yep, I did that. Why, you ask? It's because, well, something my ex said, and you can always learn new tricks, right? And I had this dream about Ethan, and in the dream well, you get the idea. There's a split second of silence which feels like forever. Then snickers, lots of them. I mean, who looks up how to pleasure a man in bed? Apparently I do. Mike, always trying to one-up everyone, shouts, "Oi, let's click on that link and get a live demo." They all burst out laughing, and honestly, if I could have melted into the floor, trust me, I would have. But the universe wasn't done with me, because as everyone's laughing and my face is at its maximum shade of red, in walks, you guessed it, Ethan. He'd been invited by Jess and was late to the party. Perfect timing, right? As he walks in, Jess, bless her heart, decides to update him. "You just missed the most enlightening round of truth or dare ever." And before I can kick her or shut her up, she's regaling him with the highlights of my search history. Because of course that's exactly how I wanted my crush to see me, as someone who Googles how to flirt and how to pleasure a man. I'm ready to just die of embarrassment when Ethan walks over, leans in and whispers, "For what it's worth, I Googled that first one too." He winks and walks away, leaving me stunned. The evening went on, but that moment, that dreadful dare, was the highlight.
And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't all bad. I mean, Ethan and I did spend a lot of time talking that night. But trust me, next time, I'm sticking to truth. Or maybe, just maybe, I won't play at all.
Red-Faced Confessions, 6 Spicy Truth or Dare Stories, Volume 3. Stay tuned for the next embarrassing confession.
Truth or dare, I had to lie, and you will completely understand why. Ever felt cornered during a game of truth or dare? My night took a whimsical twist when I lied about a peculiar turn-on, turning the evening into a comedic parade of voice notes. But behind the chuckles, an unexpected connection blossomed. Dive into a tale of hilarious confessions, surprising connections, and concealed fantasies that shows just how unpredictably delightful such nights can be. You know those nights where you're just chilling with friends letting loose, and somehow you end up in those dangerous waters of playing truth or dare? Yeah, I had one of those nights recently. And trust me, it's one for the books. So we're hanging out in Tom's apartment, right? A tight-knit group of us from college, a bit of booze, some late-night snacks, and stories from the good old days. Sounds harmless. The game starts off pretty tame. Jamie's dared to do the worm across the living room floor. Hilarious. Sarah admits her worst date ever involved a guy who talked non-stop about his collection of spoons from different states. I mean, spoons? But soon the questions and dares start veering into, well, more mature territory. Then it's my turn. And let's be honest, with a few drinks in you, truth seems like the safer option, right? Wrong. Alex asks, "What's your biggest turn on?" The room goes quiet, and every eye's on me. My mind's racing. I can't spill my actual secret, can I? And I don't. I think of going for something vanilla, you know? Like, oh, someone with a great sense of humor, or tall, dark, and handsome. But between the alcohol and the peer pressure, what slips out of my mouth is voice notes. Silence. Then, wait, what? Someone asks, confused. And honestly, I can't blame them. So now, not only do I have to pretend I am into this super specific, kinda weird thing, but I have to explain it too. Not just any voice notes, I clarify. My face is red as a ripe tomato. It's, you know, when someone you're into sends you that sleepy good morning, or the tired just got off work voice note. There's something so intimate about hearing their voice, raw and unfiltered. It feels closer. Honestly, I thought I had got away with it. But then Lisa, always the bold one, goes, "All right, hold on. I kinda get it." She grabs her phone, scrolls for a bit, and plays this deep, sleepy voice saying, "Morning, babe. Hope you have a good day." Everyone bursts out laughing. "Who's Mr. Sexy Voice, Lisa?" Someone shouts, but she's not giving it up. But here's where it gets really interesting. In the spirit of solidarity, or maybe just pure curiosity, everyone starts playing some of their voice notes. Most are mundane, but a few, let's just say I wasn't the only one blushing by the end of it. What was meant to be a moment of embarrassment for me turned into a hilarious, kinda steamy trip down voice note lane. Turns out, I was the only one without a thing for voices. But the real twist? Later in the night, I get a voice note. Guess from who? Alex, that same guy who put me on the spot. It's short, just a simple, "Good night, thanks for a fun evening." But his voice, there's a warmth, a slight hesitation. It did actually give me butterflies. Since then, we've been exchanging voice notes. Long ones, short ones, in-between ones. It's our thing now. And who knows, maybe it'll lead to something more. But even if it doesn't, It's a reminder of one of the most embarrassing yet memorable nights of my life. So the next time you play Truth or Dare, just remember, your biggest lie might just turn out to be not so strange after all. Or, it might just get you closer to that one person in ways you never imagined. This is anonymous, right? Okay, I was never going to tell them about my fantasy of dominating a man and forcing him to wear my lingerie. I still think about it quite a lot, but have never done it. I just think it is a bit too weird.
Thank you for listening to Red-Faced Confessions, 6 Spicy Truth or Dare Stories, Volume 3. If you enjoyed Volume 3, you might also like Volumes 1 and 2, which you can see by either subscribing to the Romance Diaries or by clicking on the links in the description below. And if you have enjoyed these confessions, please show us some love by hitting the like button.